What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the gradient mesh tutorial, where we use the gradient mesh tool in order to draw this face in front of me realistically to the best of our ability. Now, in the last episode 40, we left off on finishing the base layer, backdrop layer for our eyebrows here. And this episode, we're going to try and hopefully finish off our eyebrows. Really, the way we're going to do that, I'm actually going to use these hair brushes here that I've imported into the file. If you don't know how to get these, I please advise you to watch the last episode where I briefly explain it. But you can basically find any free hairbrush stroke online. Just type in free hairbrushes and just find a file, get it into your brush library. And it could really be anything. It doesn't have to be the exact one I'm working with, but I typically like my set of 4 here. In fact, it's really just 3 because I only use 3 of them. But let's get started here. So we're going to set ourselves up with almost like a palette of brushes and colors and different opacities to make it easier while in the middle of the process to change back and forth between our color and our stroke size and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on drawing the left eyebrow. I'm actually going to hide any layer around me that's going to distract me from getting the job done the way I want to see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this layer. I don't really need it right now. I'm not worried at all about it. I'm going to just make a square up here, or a rectangle, just so I can see what's going on. I'm just going to make it a neutral color, something that I can see, pretty light, just a different color entirely from everything. I'm going to lock this, hitting Control 2. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a chart for each brush style that I like. We need to get a few different swatches of hair color so we can quickly change back and forth between different shades. And I mean by like different shades as in we have like darker hairs here, and we have like a gray hair here, a lighter gray or tan here. You know what I mean? There's different shades of colors of hairs. We even have like these little gold highlights that we can throw in there to really add some depth and dimension to our tonality and the amount of hues we're showing. So let's just start making a bunch of swatches here. So we're going to start off by grabbing, let's say, one of these golder tones. Alright, so what we're going to start off by doing is making a rectangle, just some neutral color that is different from all the other colors just so we could see what's going on. Just like a green in this case, or anything really other than like an orange or brown would be fine. But what we're going to do is we're going to hide this guy. So I'm thinking I'm going to select like that tone right here, and let's start making a swatch. I'm actually just going to, so I don't lose them in general, and just so I could see them at a larger size, just keep adding squares on the side with them. But I'm also going to add them to my swatch panel here. So let's make another swatch. So I'm going to take this dark color here, maybe like that color actually. So we have a dark brown now. Let's duplicate this. Make it the dark brown. Okay. So let's make a new swatch here. Gonna make this about like this mid-tone color. Okay. Make a new swatch. And let's get more of like a gray going in. Like that, like a light brown gray. Alright. So I'm gonna select all these colors, and I'm just gonna quickly make them a swatch library just so I can add them all into my swatches. So I have them all there. It's gonna save my project here. So I'm gonna take my brushes, wherever that has gone. Let's see. And it looks like I need to re-import. So if you don't know how to import brushes already, I went over it in the last episode, but I'm going to just do it quickly again because I don't know where my brush window went. It kind of disappeared on me in the middle of fixing things. I had some trouble with Illustrator before, but I fixed it. But here we go. So we're going to just locate our file wherever we saved it. Wherever you saved your brush file that you downloaded on the internet. It's going to be an Illustrator or maybe like an EPS file. Go on to the brush menu, and you're going to go into a little book icon here, and then you're going to hit other library, and then you're going to be searching for your brushes. I don't want to do that, so we're going to go into where mine are saved, and we're just going to hit open, and then it's going to just pop up this little window here of all the brushes that are saved into that Illustrator file. It's really neat, and it really helps to have hair brushes for this type of stuff. So I'm going to just start out by working on this first brush here. So I'm just going to I'm going to take this swatch, and I'm just going to take the brush tool with that swatch selected, and just going to make a line, just like a small vertical representation of that line at 100% opacity at 1 point. I'm going to make another line at 2 points. And then I'm going to do another one at 3 points. And then one more at 4 points, because I don't see me going bigger than that really on a stroke. Then I'm going to go make one at about half a point, and then one at 0.25 points. Okay, so now I have a variety of strokes at that color for that brush. So now let's go to the next one. Let's go to this swatch. Let's take a 0.25, then we're gonna go up to 0.5, then to 1 point. So this one gets pretty thick pretty quick, so we might not even use this one a lot. And then we're gonna go up to 2 points, then 3 points, and then 4 points. So now we're just creating a library of different strokes for us to easily grab. Let's go into the next one. So we're gonna start at 4, go down to 3, 2, and you don't have to do all this, but this is like something that I like to do just to set myself up, because it's just easier for me to have it all laid out. So now we have all those strokes here, right? I'm gonna make this one bigger and easier to select. Just for that swatch. Let me just lock the screen so we don't select it. So now if we take my new swatch, so we have all these brush strokes, right? From each different brush on that color. So now if we just duplicate this, so if I duplicate these set of brushes, since I brought it into my swatch panel, right? Since I have a swatch library over here, I can now select a different tone with my stroke selected, and I could just change the color quickly, just so I can set myself up a little faster. I don't have to redo that process. I'm just gonna duplicate this 2 more times. I'm gonna unlock the green so I could just cover this whole area. Okay, lock it back up. Let's select all these guys, make sure our stroke is selected, and choose a different swatch. Okay, and let's do it to the last one, which is the last color. We already have that one. I think it's the gray tone. All right, perfect. So those are my 4 different colors for my hairs in this. I'm pretty much gonna say entire project. I don't really see many more tones that I need to use other than those. I'm sure I can mess with opacities to get different tones. And that's what I'm gonna do. So next, now that I have those 4 sets, I'm gonna just open this all the way up, and I'm gonna set up 4 more sets of these. Ready? All these are at 100% opacity. I'm gonna do 75% opacity, 50, 25. Okay. So this is gonna be like my kit, you know, my brush kit. So then I can take my eyedropper when I'm working, and I can just easily grab whatever kind of style I'm looking for, and then start coloring. You know, I don't have to do any manual stroke adjustments. I don't have to do manual opacity adjustments at the time. It's gonna save me a lot of time, effort, and it's gonna keep me more consistent really in the long run. So let's save that work. And what I'm gonna do is take these groups that I've just made, and I'm gonna just drop the opacity of this one to 75%. Okay. I'm gonna take these guys, make them 50%, and we're gonna do 25%. And I think that's gonna do it. Okay, so now we have a variety of tones and brushes. Okay, I'm gonna just bring this guy back over here because I don't really need to see it right now. I don't want to delete it, but let's just get it out of the way. Let's take this guy, move it over here, and let's bring it close to our workstation over here, and let's duplicate it. So it's basically, we're kind of surrounded by our selection of brushes here, just so we have easy selection and easy reach for them. They're just next to us when we're working. And let's hide anything we don't really need to see, just so it's out of the way. Okay, let me save again. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is just teach you, if you double click the eyedropper tool, what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you options that allow you to change what it picks up and what it doesn't. So in this case, I just wanna make sure appearance is selected. So when I do select these brushes that I've made here, it's not only gonna pick up the type of brush that I'm using, such as one of the, like the whatever brush stroke I'm using in the brush library, it's also gonna pick up the opacity and the stroke. So if I go to my brush tool to paint this, it's gonna paint exactly what I selected. Let's test it again. Let's pick 25% opacity of this color and this stroke. Let's go to my brush, and it does it, right? So that's gonna be our way to easily bounce back and forth when choosing our brushes. And that's gonna make this process go a little quicker. So let's start out by taking some of our tones, let's say these darker hairs, and let's start drawing those darker hairs. And let me just take a double look at what I got here. So I think I need some more darkness over there. Let me take a hair size of, let's say this this brush right here. And let me start working this. And you can see that we're gonna start following the strokes that we see. And we're gonna start adding little hairlines all over the place. And you can see we're not just making random lines. We are now building kind of what we see in these little lines on the eyebrow. We're kind of going off of what we see. I'm gonna go a little bit thinner of a brush and keep it darker though. And what's that, 100% opacity? Let's go 75%. Let's do that brush, this guy right here. And you can see how much easier that's making it. I could just select and start coloring, start drawing my hairs. So I'm basically just finding like the darker spots right now because I'm currently using my darker brush, and I'm just kind of trying to start filling in the negative space with some lines because we need to really cover this whole entire surface area, and there's going to be a lot of strokes. All the strokes on top of each other is what is going to give it that look, you know, that real look is what we're trying to get. So yeah, I'm bouncing around different types of brushes right here. I'm just trying to see how it fills in the space. And it seems like the one I'm using, I think it's the same one as before. I'm just gonna go back to it because it seemed to be working pretty well. And I'm just gonna follow any of those dark spots. You see, like I'm just kind of going to my shadows here, and I'm just working my little shadow pockets. Anywhere I find that this color should be there, I'm kind of just starting to add lines. And you can see we're being very graceful with it. I'm actually gonna change colors here. I'm gonna go to like, let's say more of my like mid-brown, 75% opacity. Let's say that size stroke. Those look pretty good, right? I think it's a little too thick because I'm right here. I'm just gonna manually bring it down to 0.5 points on this kind of style. I'm just gonna get a little bit bigger of a stroke for that color. I think we have some pretty fat pieces of hair over there. It's about layering. It's not about covering the space at as fast as possible. It's about making correct line gestures and layering over and over again, and just keep layering these strokes over is what's going to give it that look. Don't want to be too quick about it. We want to be smart. We want to be accurate with our lines. We want to be controlled, and we want to be realistic. We always want to be moving in the direction of the way the hair is moving in the image. We don't really want to go against any grain, or else it's going to start looking non-realistic. It's going to look a little strange. And notice how I'm not always just using the 100% opacity brushes. I find that using a mixture of lower opacities is going to give that proper blend, and it's going to give it that see-through. It's going to give it that density, you know? It's going to look very dense, or at least that's the goal. So if it doesn't look as dense as we want it, by the time we're done with our first wave of brushes, we can always go back and add some more. Just gonna darken this, I think, a little bit. I'm just gonna find a darker stroke. I'm not really liking the current lighting over there in this area. That's a little bit better. So I'm just kind of filling in a lot of the space with these neutral tone hairs. I think there's a lot of this tonality going on, and I think if I just keep the opacity relatively low, it'll blend very nicely. But we do need to start taking up a lot of this space, and we need to find a general tone that kind of works there, and I find like a mixture between this tan that I'm using and maybe the gray that I've already laid down can be a really good value in this area. And that's kind of the look that we have so far, and we're getting there. Definitely need a lot more surface area covered, but I think I really like the vibe that I'm getting as of right now on here. But you can see that we really need a lot more lines going on, so we're gonna have to spend a lot of time just stroking around, and we're just gonna have to keep working on it. We go back to the tan color here. I'm just doing a couple of these gold highlights at 100, just so they're on top. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll just take the opacity down to 50 on that same stroke, and I'll just go over some of the area right next to it. Try and get that denser look with the gold. Okay, let's go back to maybe like a little bit, maybe the 50% darker tone, and let's just layer over the strokes I just made just to give it some more density. I don't want to cover everything, and I don't want to lose all the detail that I've previously put. So I kind of just adding a little bit more emphasis on top of each thing I make, and will continue to give that density and that look that I'm trying to achieve. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I'm also repeating the same exact line, I'm drawing a lot. So my mind's only thinking about a few things right now. So if you can't get with the vibe what I'm doing, I advise you to watch harder, because I think it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing. I think it makes sense. I think it looks good, or will look good. It's gonna look realistic as long as I play it safe here and I don't overdo these strokes, because I can definitely overdo it. I could just keep slashing strokes everywhere until it fills up the area. I'm gonna be a little careless, but I really want the way the hues move across the eyebrow to be accurate. You know, I don't want to create some sort of area in the face where you're like, wait, you know, that doesn't seem very realistic, but everything else does. You know, I don't want to have those weak points in the drawing. So the hair is very important, because it's kind of hard to draw hair digitally, especially in a real format. You know, it's so fine, and there's only so many ways to draw it realistically, and I'd say this is one of the better ways to do it, because, you know, we need to draw actual brushes and, you know, actual streaks of hair, and it's kind of hard to resemble that without actually using like a brush or some sort of thin point, you know? Like, this is not an easy thing to do, and it takes time to learn how to draw hair, but I would say it's pretty self-explanatory at the same time, you know? Like, there's only so many ways you can do it. So we're definitely getting somewhere, making progress. Definitely a lot further than we were before. Just gonna keep layering, keep filling in that negative space. I want to cover this entire back layer that we made. Remember that eyebrow layer that we made? This is gonna be sitting all on top of it, and once we have everything kind of together, it's really gonna come together. But right now we're kind of just building pieces. So always be saving your project. We don't want this project to crash, because gradient mesh does get very large and bulky to work with on your PC, depending on how powerful it is. So especially now that we're adding a ton of vector lines and a lot more math to our shapes, please, and a lot more math to our file, please be saving. We don't want to be crashing. Let me just bring everything back and just see what it looks like right now, because I don't really know what I'm looking at. So let me see what I have here. I'm actually going to duplicate the left eyebrow before I demolish it and bring it to its demise, and I can never get it back. But this is pretty much what I have right now, and that's with the backdrop. And that backdrop really adds a lot to this. I'm hoping when I expand these and I feather them, because when I expand them, it's gonna make them all closed shapes. Like now they're all closed shapes with the right amount of opacity. Let's say, you know, 50% opacity, but now it's not a stroke; it is a shape. So now it's a shape with the fill. So now that it's a shape with the fill, I can zoom in, and I'm actually gonna see if I can expand it again. All right, so there we go. Expanded it again, and I'm gonna go to this effect, Stylize and Feather, and I'm gonna do a very small amount of feather, maybe like 1 pixel, and see what I get. But I'm hoping I can make it softer. Maybe let me do more than 1 pixel. Let's try 2. I'm trying to make the hair a little bit softer. No, that's too much. Looks like weird now. Maybe like 1.5? I don't know. Let me bring it back. I like the feather. I just can't go really more than 1 pixel. And maybe if I can try like 0.75 pixels, just a little bit of feather would be better. I don't really like too much feather. It doesn't seem to work very well. But a little bit feather doesn't really hurt. So I think that worked out pretty well. I think I like that more because it really smoothens out our hair. But I think that's a really good look. So this is before, right? And that is after. Big difference, more realistic difference, more importantly. Definitely is better than just leaving it as a smooth blob of brown. And we're gonna just do the right eyebrow now the same exact way we did the left. Alright, so we're just gonna continue onward onto the right eyebrow, or left again, depending on how critical you're gonna be, but it's the right to me because it's a flat surface. And alright, so we're just gonna hide everything we don't need again, because like, I just don't want it in my way. It kind of just blocks my vision, kind of just kills the mood. Let's take at least just one of these and bring it closer. I don't want to shrink it because it's gonna mess up my scale, so I'm just gonna put it, wherever I could find it, which is there. And then let's hide this shape. Oh wait, I got I'm on the locked layer here. Let's hide this guy, and then we can just examine this for a second. I'm not gonna draw this green dot. I don't know what that is. I mean, it could be makeup, but it's just so random. Anyway, what I see, for me at least, what I see is like there's this section of dark area. So I have this dark area right here, and I have this light area in the middle, and then the dark area, basically the same tone. I'm gonna just assume that as this. So I have dark, light, dark, and you can kind of see like this web almost. See how there's like this comes to a point here, and then it kind of comes down. I think that's pretty important to show. So I'm just gonna try and focus on drawing the hairs kind of coming out like this in this trend, and following that motion. And then once I kind of get all those lighter hairs down, like all in between here, all this lightness, then I'm going to come in and do the darks, and then pretty much just keep layering the lights and the dark until I have pretty much a beefy, it's going to be pretty much two-tone with some shadow. There's going to be a few variable colors, but very little. It's pretty flat over there. It's in the bokeh, it's in the blurry background of the shot. So I don't think it's going to be, especially because the eye we drew like that, so I don't think it's going to be overly critical if we go extra detailed on this. I mean, if it's not there, and plus we're trying to be as realistic and photo accurate right now. So I'm just going to follow what I have and what I'm looking at here. Now that that little mishap is over, let us go into duplicating this layer. First of all, we don't want to be destructive, and we're going to bring this original layer down here, and we'll just hide it for now. Alright, so we're going to lock our backdrop for our eyebrow so we don't select it, and then we're just going to group our copy right here, all this stuff on our copy. And now we have all of these strokes selected into one group, and then we're going to go to Object Expand, and that's going to make every shape a fill. Okay. And then since we have everything as a fill, now we can go to the effect and go to Stylize and Feather, and now we can apply our feather as before. Alright, I don't mind that. Let me try maybe doing a little more because we're in the blur. I think a little more on this side might benefit because it's not our primary side. It's not in the forefront, it's in the background. So maybe a little bit more feather in this case might do the trick. Let's do 1 pixel. Alright, I don't hate it. And then let's bring it down. What did I do for opacity on this one? And then we're going to kick it up a notch slightly for this guy. I did 50%. Alright, so let's do like 40% for this right eyebrow. Just lock those. Ooh, I like that. Okay, nice. That is how you draw the eyebrows and pretty much just hair in general. But we're going to get right into drawing the hair in the next episode because we are done with the face. I mean, we're pretty much done with the face. I mean, we just got to do glitter makeup and maybe touch up. Again, I've just been looking at this line on the nose and I just have to just clean it up a little bit. Besides that, people, I mean, we have done it. We are done with the face. I mean, it is done. It looks amazing. I think it looks amazing personally. I mean, you can work on these forever and just keep putting work into it, and then usually they can only get better. You can add textures. You know, we can even, if we even want in my extra episodes, we can even mess around with, you know, like skin texture, and we can add a texture maybe on the skin and see what happens. Maybe it looks bad, maybe it looks good. You never know. Like, you can even add raster texture onto the lips and add some grain and maybe add some more, you know. Like, there's more you can do with it if your computer can handle it. Otherwise, I'm just getting off topic. I'm just so glad that the face is done and we can move on to the hair. I'm just so happy, yeah. I mean, we made it so far, but so much work into this. All right. So thank you for watching and sticking it out. Eyebrows are done. That's a little hair tutorial too, and we'll kind of do the tutorial again with the hair, but there's not much hair to draw. There's mostly just a mesh I have to make, and then we just do the neck, and then we just do the glitter makeup. Okay, okay. All right, my name is Mark DiMattei. You can find me on Instagram at markdarts. That's MARKD_ARTS. Please like, comment, and subscribe to me, to my channel, to this video, and just give me some feedback. Let me know how you're doing. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sticking it out, and I'll see you on the next one. Episode 42 coming for you. Hair and neck coming up. Hair and neck. Let's do this. Finishing up the mesh.